Video's journey. My name is Anthony Pica, and this show is all about helping the new and upcoming voiceover artists grow their business and sidestep all of the crazy things that I seem to step on. It's Tuesday, so you know we're going live. I've got some coffee, my ceremonial pencil, and we've got a really cool episode today. I'm going to be talking about voiceover jobs 101. I think it's really important to always dive into all of the different things that we can do in voiceover and to explore them, because if we find every little nook and cranny that's available out there to us, okay, then we can offer services for places that maybe are not as served as much as other places. Does that make sense? It just opens the door for more voiceover jobs. So today I'm going to be talking about the different places and the different types of voiceover jobs that you can get, and we can have a discussion about that. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, please go ahead and post them into the chat. So let's go ahead and dive in. I think the most notable place where we think of voiceover jobs, right, is commercial work. The thing with commercial work, though, in the voiceover industry is that you have such a large, that encompasses so much. Right? Because now we have the online atmosphere where you've got social media, you've got YouTube, all of these different places where there are still commercials being made for those, and they can either be paid or they can be made into like video narration, like just regular posts that are not paid. So, you have this kind of paid or non-paid commercials, which we can talk about broadcast rights and things like that later. But, we talk about the commercial voiceover. Traditionally, we think of it being on the radio, we think of it being on TV. But nowadays, for most of us, including myself, most of the commercial voiceover work that's done, okay, is online, right? It's for companies who post these videos, these commercials on the internet. Okay, so that's a big one, right? It's commercials via video narration, and then you have commercials via radio, all right, or TV. And there, of course, are tons of those commercials as well. But I would say the majority of us think about commercials work that's going to be online, okay? All right, so let's go ahead to maybe the next one, which is, and I would say this is probably as always, the fastest growing one, is audiobooks. Okay, audiobooks is I started in audiobooks. There are so many audiobooks available for us because, quite frankly, they're not easy. They're not, many voice actors do them, but many voice actors don't want to do them because they take a lot of time. But they can pay well. They can pay nothing, but they can also pay well. So audiobooks is a great place for you to go. Places like ACX, which is the Audiobook Creation Exchange that's owned by Audible, which is owned by Amazon. That's a great place to start. That's where I started my entire business almost 4 years ago, right? So I started on that one, and I just started auditioning, and I was able to get work with a $40 microphone and a hobo fort, all right, packing blankets and PVC pipes. So that's a great place to start audiobooks. The next thing you think about as you're going from audiobooks is you think about e-learning. Now, the thing with e-learning, and this is important, is you have to remember that you guys are, I'm watching the chat. Yes, thank you for the shirt. I appreciate, yes, it is the shirt. Talk about what's really important is the shirt. So this is a shirt that just has a bunch of different clips from Star Wars on it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, everybody. So anyways, we were getting into e-learning, right? So the different places on e-learning, if you think about it, we have, and this is kind of interesting to me because we have the traditional e-learning, meaning that, you're going to have these big tutorials, right? Almost like these PowerPoint slides or these big training modules. But then there's also a lot of other e-learning things that are going on right now, like, just explaining on a smaller scale detail how certain things are done. A lot of web tutorials, right, about like websites and going on and where you have a lot of people who are going through a website and showing people how to use that website, and then you narrate over that. There's that as well. There's medical narration, where you're doing e-learning for medical narration. There's all types of e-learning, but that's a big business as well. And a lot of work does fall under e-learning. All right. So that's another place that you can find work on. A big thing for a lot of non-union people just starting out, and quite honestly, people even who've been doing this for a while, is phone messaging or IVR. Okay, so this is a voiceover job that you're going to be doing when someone you call a place and there's a message machine, or somebody picks up and says, thank you for calling. If you'd like to speak to a representative, please press 1. That kind of stuff. Or, hey, thanks for calling Joe's Feed. We're not here right now, but please leave a message. We'll get back to you as soon as the chicken meets the eye. It's just something silly, right? Those are types of phone messages. I don't know where that one came from, but those are types of phone messages and IVRs and different things like that. And that expands, but that's a very big business right now. Very big, especially with the advent of a lot of free phones, like you could use phones online, you can set up a phone for free. But there's also a lot of work that you do that I've done for, businesses who make lots of calls, and you also leave messages, like you call and have a pre-recorded message and things like that. So phone messaging is a big thing right now, and it's a great place to get into, especially if you're new, because, everyone needs a phone message. So this is not just something that you have to necessarily be on a platform to get. You can utilize social media to really, be a professional phone message voice actor, and it's something that is quick, easy, it pays pretty decently, and it's a good thing to get into. Now, when I was talking about e-learning, there's corporate narration in there as well. So I think, and the difference, if you look at e-learning or corporate narration, is they just begin to kind of section themselves off, meaning that e-learning is a huge umbrella, and then you have different aspects. Like I mentioned, medical narration, there's corporate narration, you could have technical narration, all kinds of different types. So that's kind of where corporate falls under there. One of my favorites to do is video game voiceovers. And these are characters or cartoon voiceovers, character voiceovers. I think the thing with character voiceovers is that in audiobooks, we find that, it's kind of one of those things where you can play 30, 40, 50 characters in an audiobook if it's a fiction book, right? But when it comes to video games, it's fun, or cartoons, we get to play some really wild characters. And that's lots of fun. Funny thing is, when I started, I wanted to work for Blizzard Entertainment, right, and do voiceovers for them. So I messaged the customer service on Blizzard, and I was like, hey, I'd like to be in one of your World of Warcraft videos. I mean, whoever got that customer service, they're like, hey, June, we got another guy who wants to do a voiceover. I don't know, but I think it's silly. Think back at some of the things that we thought, but you do what you got to do. But anyways, video games, cartoons, characters, there's a lot of, because of the technology that's out there, I do a lot of work for people who make their own cartoons. They've started their own stuff, and they're just doing their own things. Or I've worked for toy stores. I've worked for all kinds of places where they make, commercials or whatever using characters as well. So that's a really fun thing that you can do also. Apps is another thing. I've done a lot of work for apps. I've not seen as many of those type, as that much app work coming recently for me personally, but I've done a lot of apps in the past, all sorts of things, game apps, just a lot of game apps where, I've done funny voices and things for that. So, that's always a big business. And that's only, like I said, all that stuff is only going to get bigger. Okay. Now there's something that we call dubbing, okay? And dubbing is when, we have a person who, or there's a video or there's narration that possibly might be in a different language. and your job is to, dub over that. Okay. And that kind of goes, it can be difficult. It can be difficult. Like if a narration is in French or German or Spanish or something like that, and you speak English and they want it in English, you know what I mean? That can be tough as well. But then there's ADR, which is, where you're kind of matching it up with someone else's speech. There's all, so those are to me, those are tough. Those are tough for me because that requires a really great system and a lot of technical skill. And there are some tools that help with those things, but I don't have them. So I actually try to shy away from that type of work just because it's tough. Documentary work is a lot of fun, and there is a lot of that out there as well. I think, documentary work and explainer videos, if you will. These are type of videos that teach, as well as, I always think of explainer videos or videos that teach. They share a philosophy, they share an idea, they share information, but they're also meant to kind of sell. Whereas I was looking at the Kung Fu comment by Robin, or is the documentary. All right, is more just more informational. So that's where it varies. There's not, documentaries don't sell. So those are some areas that you can find voiceover jobs as well. Now, moving from taking all of these things we talked about and moving to, okay, where do I find voiceover jobs? Okay, well, I'm just want to lay out some real quick things for you to think about, things that you can go. So there's different places now that we can find voiceover work, okay? First off, I personally like to look online for online websites that are freelance websites, pay-to-play websites, sites that have become online agents, okay? These are sites that find the work through paid advertising, through, posting, through marketing. They find people who are interested in voiceover, bring them to their website. We put our information on that website, and those people come and see us. And if they like what we're offering via our demos or samples and our copy and everything, our pictures and all that stuff, then they'll possibly buy from us or work with us, okay? And usually those sites take a percentage of that for helping them. Now, I said online agents, but there's real agents, all right? Real flesh and blood agents, okay, who also work, which is a huge way to also work in this business, where you can find agents in your town, you can find agents in big cities, regions. You could simply do Google searches for them. They're usually from talent agencies. There are specific agents that work just with voiceover, okay? But you have, all sorts of that. Plus you have studios as well that kind of double time as agencies or agents, if you will. And then you can sign contracts with these people or studios for exclusivity, things where, you agree to only work from the work that they give you and all that, et cetera, et cetera. So, you have you have agents, real flesh and blood agents, and then you have online agents, like I say these websites are now. Now, there's the old-fashioned way of direct marketing, right, where you're going direct to the business or consumer. You're phone calling, you're calling on the phone, you're messaging online, you're sending emails, maybe even driving to local businesses. This is a way that you can find voiceover work directly with the customer. Usually when you do this, though, you need to have a good infrastructure built out, meaning you need to have a nice website. You need to have a way to process payments. You need to have a way to do all of these things. That's why it's so appealing for a lot of people to work with agents or agencies or online websites, because they take care of all of that stuff for you. I think the eventuality for all of us is we want to move to that place where we can handle it all ourselves, but it's a great place to start working with these people. Now, after that, there's also the internet when it comes to your website and people actually finding you through going to Google or Bing or whatever and typing in voiceover artist, and your website pops up. This is probably one of the most difficult things to accomplish, okay, because you're up against every other single voice actor, every other single large business, online, voice agency, as we call them, who are spending tons and tons of money to get to that spot. It's going to be difficult to beat them at that top rate. Is it possible? I'm a believer. Anything is possible, but it takes time. It takes a lot of content. You've got to build out your website. You've got to do a lot of work in order to get your site starting to show up in search results, which then people would find you because they're searching for voice actors, go to your website, like what they're seeing, like what they're hearing, and they purchase something from you. Another way to get business is social media sites. Now, I talked about directly messaging people just a few moments ago, but social media sites are a great place to build awareness for what you're doing. Build a fan base, meaning that you're putting out content that people like, whether you're educating people, whether you're entertaining them, whether you're doing both, whether you're just finding material out there that you're finding material that's being made that this group over here really could use, and you're finding it or curating it and bringing it over and showing them. That's a great way if you are struggling with, I don't know what content to make or whatever on social media. It's a great way. It's about helping. The more you can help other people, okay, the more you are going to get a following. And as soon as people on social media start to watch you, start to trust you, start to like you, all right, then when they need something, when they need a voiceover from you, they will come to you because they'll be like, oh, yeah, there's that guy or there's that gal who does voice work and I really like their videos, and I'll give them, I'll send them an email. I mean, that's how selling through social media works these days. It doesn't work the opposite way, which is you go out and you get a client, then you turn them into your fans. It doesn't work that way. You're supposed to, you got to help first. You got to give first now, all right, through social media and through online. Then people, when they're ready to work with you, they'll work with you. It does work. Believe me, it works, but you've got to give, this stuff. And a great way to do that is, like I said, giving information to people who are helped. But again, this is a long-term thing, and direct messaging people on social media, you can do that, but it does not work very well. I don't know if you do, if you get this, but I get a couple messages pretty regularly for people who are kind of like, hey, you want to buy from me? Hey, I've got a product. Hey, I ignore them. Or I'll say something like, you didn't even buy me a pizza first. Just like people just reach out to you and say, hey, buy this from me. I mean, it's just like, it's such a cheap and way out of trying to build a relationship with me or getting me to acknowledge. Now, if they sent me a message and say, hey, I was looking over your profile, I see that you do XYZ. I actually am doing this. I was wondering if you'd like, a free, a free video I just made about how you can, get better, better this, and this, you know what I mean? And here's a link to it. And it's literally free. And you don't have to sign up for anything, and you go there, it's on YouTube or something, you watch, say, oh, that's pretty cool. That's a great way to start a relationship, and then that you begin to trust those people. You see what I mean? But this is all about trust, recognizability, being able to find people who are interested in what you're doing. And then when they need you, they'll come and find you. But that's another way to get business, is social media. Some people find it challenging. Some people love it. It really, in the end, it does become about, how much you can get out in front of people and how much you can help people. So there is that way. I think we've pretty much covered, when we covered cold calling, I think we've covered a lot of the ways that you can get. Oh, we didn't talk about ads. I didn't talk about ads. Ads are a way that a lot of businesses get work, and social media now, you can really target specific audiences with like Facebook ads, Twitter ads. They have ads on LinkedIn. They've got ads pretty much everywhere. I mean, they don't have ads yet on TikTok, at least not for sale, but they're getting close and they're trying them out if you haven't noticed, if you're on TikTok. But, these are Instagram. You can use these ads. I'll be upfront with you. I've tried them a few times and I just don't like the results. It's very, again, it's so salesy. So I think if you use, if you use ads it's better to use ads as a way to build your brand, like people to recognize you and get to know you, as opposed to trying to just sell something. You know what I mean? And this is just my personal opinion, especially in voiceover, because, we're a part of we're part of the wheel. We're not the wheel. We're just a spoke in the wheel. There's got to be a bunch of other parts that have got to be filled in order for us to be a part of it. There's got to be a video, or there's got to be copy, there's got to be a social account, there's got to be a commercial, there's got to be a team, there's got to be a bunch of different things happening. And a voiceover artist goes, into that wheel, like a spoke in that wheel. So I find that selling directly through ads have been a challenge for me. But I do like the idea of using ads as a way to reach more eyeballs in order to build awareness of who you are, what you're trying to do. So in the end, all of this stuff I talked about, it all is about you getting in front of as many eyeballs as possible. That's what it's all about. How many people can you get in front of? That's what this all boils down to. So if you want to get voiceover jobs, you've got to get in front of more people, and that should be your single most pressing thought every single day. How am I getting in front of people? Am I getting in front of the most amount of people I can, and how can I do it better? Now, what can I do differently that's going to get me in front of more people, more opportunities, and more importantly, the time it takes. Like, here's a great example. When you're trying to get voiceover jobs and you're making phone calls or sending emails, they really are actually making phone calls to studios and stuff it is a wonderful way. It really is. Cold calling is a great way if you use a good script, right? Like a non-threatening type of script where, you're just asking if they're accepting demos or they're, looking for any more voice actors on the roster. That's a very not, you're not asking them to buy from you. You're just asking, hey, can I get on your roster, or can I send you my demo? That's a wonderful way to do it. But here's the rub. You literally would have to call or email. I mean, in my opinion, you would have to call or email hundreds a day if you want to see, this is the key, if you want to see growth within a short amount of time, like within a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Now you'd be like, well, that's silly. Anything good takes time. And absolutely. But a lot of times you hear people say, hey, I emailed somebody a year ago and they just messaged me. Well, that's wonderful. But like I was telling someone last night, I don't want to wait a year to get a job. So you have to think about this as from a sustainable business and marketing standpoint. So these are good things. And I'm not saying they're bad, like things you shouldn't have in your wheelhouse of marketing. But to get voiceover jobs on a regular basis, to do phone calls and emails, you got to do a lot. I mean, a lot, like 100 a day. Like to really get business on a regular basis. To get business on a weekly basis, you're going to have to really hit it hard. Okay, hit it hard. Maybe 100 is overdoing it, but still, think about it. If you did 10 a day and you don't get anything, you did 20 a day, you don't get anything, you did 30 a day, right? You get 40. You start all of a sudden when you're doing 50 calls, you're starting to realize, okay, I got an audition, or I got this today or tomorrow, or someone messaged me. Like, you got to figure out these things. So this is the difference between you taking it under your own wing to do, or you paying, these websites or an agent to do it. Now, the difference with you doing it, of course, in the end, is that you own it then, meaning that's your client. It's not the website's client. It's not the agent's client. But my thing to you is that what you then want to think about is how can you move forward, like with getting other people to help you do it. Now we're getting beyond just voiceover jobs 101, but this is the idea to me of, the overall landscape of voiceover work, and then how to go about getting voiceover work. Now, mind you, this is all with the idea that you've got everything else, like you've got your equipment and everything else is figured out. Today's video was really just about talking, voiceover jobs 101 and, how to get voiceover jobs 101. All the work that goes into all of that's a lot, but those are the general ways that you get work. Now, some people say, you can go to your chamber of commerce. You can do a lot of things locally, and that's true if you live in a big city. But if you live in a rural town or you live somewhere where there's not a lot of people, that's not going to really work well for you. I mean, you're not going to get enough business that's going to sustain anything. So, the wonderful thing about the internet is we're open to the world. There are no boundaries. There's nothing stopping us from working with countries everywhere. And I do. I love that about my job. So about my business. So it's just, that's just something to think about. All right, I hope this was very helpful and enlightening. I wanted to just recognize everybody who came on. We've got Famicom Mike, what's up? Happy good 4th of July weekend. Thank you, sir. We got Eric, what's up? Facebook user, I made it to level H. I don't know, what is that level? I've made it to live. Oh, I'm an idiot. I made it to a live. Hi. We're all dumb sometimes. Eric, spelling greetings, yes. Voiceover Angela, you are the one with the shirt, Angela. Yes, hello, Angela. Robin, nice shirt. May the force be with you. Yeah. You guys are great. Facebook user, hello. Sorry, I don't know the name of the Facebook user. Jeremy says, what's up? What's up, Jeremy? Ram says, oh, maybe I can dub over Kung Fu movie. Yeah. Ender, what's up, my man? Love it. Joe, what's up, Joe? Hello. Out of work, Professor Anthony. How many hours a day would you say you spend recording, editing, and how many on marketing? If you really want to know how many hours I spend a day, probably an hour recording. Hour, 2 hours. I mean, like if I've got like 10 or 15 jobs, takes me about an hour and a half, maybe. The rest of the time is all marketing, literally. The rest of the time is all marketing. Social media content, answering messages, putting things together for people, posts, blogs, podcasts, videos, all marketing. It's all marketing. My workflow, I've gotten to the point where in voiceover, my workflow is fast enough to where, it takes me. Now, mind you, I'm not doing books. If I was doing a book, there's no, there really is no shortcut. An hour of finished audio will at minimum take an hour, but it always takes way more than an hour, as we know. So, I don't do a lot of those for that very reason, because I have found that by utilizing my time a certain way and this didn't happen when I first started. When I first started, I took any job I could get. My workflow was never at the front of my mind. It was just get voiceover work and do it. There wasn't an idea of, well, what type of voiceover work am I going for? What type of voiceover work do I want that will help my schedule out? Because, when I first started, I did lots of books, and books are great because when I first started, I could only work from like 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. in the morning every night. I couldn't work because I worked a full-time job, and then I was with my family, so I couldn't start working until everybody went to bed. So that was a big change for me, when that went away and I went full-time, because then I could really dictate what type of work. So I literally stopped doing audiobooks. I went from the audiobook guy to I stopped doing them because I realized that for me, at the point where I was, audiobooks were actually causing more trouble than they were worth. So to me, the marketing is also about building my brand. See, so I look at marketing as not just about getting work, but it's about building a sustainable business. Do you know what I mean? So that's very important to me. Post to some people might not be important. To me, it is vital to the health and growth of my business. And I think if more people thought about social media and they thought about marketing in that sense, they would approach it differently. I think about every video I post, everything I do, podcasts, all of that stuff, my interactions online as being critical to the growth and health of my business. And even though you post something and you don't see a return right there, it is, so important to note that, even though it goes on social media and it goes away, but, those things can last for a long time, right? They can last forever on there. And it's like the more you build up, I talked about the compound effect. It just really goes. So people probably find it surprising that I record very little very little a day. Like I said, if I've got 10 or 15 recordings, like today, I got 3 done right before this video. And in the morning, I was working on a blog post. I was working on interacting with people in the Facebook group, because that's important. That's important to me. It's important to my business that I do those things. That's just important as my recording. Now, the cool thing about recording is if you set it up correctly with timing, I can record at different times. So I got like 3 voiceovers in right before this, and then I've got like another 12 or so I've got to do. And I want to try to get done by the end of the day today. But then I have about 3 or 4 meetings I'm in. So, I'm in coaching sessions with voice actors. It's just a busy day. I'm blessed to be busy. But I think, the idea is that I've worked very hard with equipment, with processes to get me to a place where I can record and finish quickly. Does that make sense? Good question. Adina says, hi there from Texas. What's up? Just discovered this awesome channel yesterday. Well, thank you. It's great to have you. VoiceOver Angela, audiobooks are so time consuming, but can be a great source of income. Absolutely. Absolutely. They are a great source of income. Famicom Mike, is there a Fiverr Elite this weekend? Yes, there is. There is Fiverr Elite. So we were off last weekend for 4th of July, but this weekend we are hitting it back hard with Fiverr Elite. Very excited about that. We've added some also more things to the group. Been working on the archive and everything, because we have over, as I was looking at it, it was wild. We have over 58 videos. 58 videos because we've been doing it over a year now, and it's amazing how many people we've helped, how much awesome that group has done, and the wealth of knowledge in that group is pretty incredible, especially with just those videos that we have. So it's pretty cool. Let's see. Great info. So true about building trust first. No doubt it works because I personally know it has helped your business. Right. You know what I mean? Like if you look at it that way, I try to put out everything I can to help people. And if someone needs some help and they see my stuff and they trust me, they'll come to me for help. And I love to help, but it goes both ways. People want to work. People are more willing to work with people who give than people who take. They are, so it's a good way to do it. And whatever you do, don't be afraid that you're going to give away stuff so that there'll be, no one will pay for your services. That's just not true. People, trust people, trust in people, have faith in people. Let's see. I've listened to your videos and joined the Facebook group. Glad I caught you live today. Awesome. Thank you. Joe says, yay. Let's see. Japan man ×3. I'm looking to really branch to this field. I've done recordings for my job for like computer-based trainings, but now I'm looking to make this my career. Seems like Fiverr will be the jumping point. Fiverr is a great place to go to. So is ACX, especially when you're starting out. When you're starting out, it's good to go to a place where there's not a high amount of things required from you, like a super amazing demo. That's why I liked ACX so much. It's acx.com, Audiobook Creation Exchange, because you didn't really need a demo. When I first started, I had nothing. I didn't know what I was doing. So it was really nice to go there because I could literally just audition. The scripts were there. You audition, and if someone likes it, they give you a contract. It's really wonderful. So it's a great place to go as well. On Fiverr, it's a great place to start. It's free, but you're going to need, there's almost, there's getting close to 20,000 gigs for just voiceover on Fiverr, whereas opposed to 3.5 years ago, there was only 7,000. So, you're talking about now that doesn't mean that you still can't make, in our Fiverr Elite group, we've got loads of people making loads of money, but you just need to be aware that the competition is a lot stiffer. So you've got to have a better demo. You got to have a really great headshot. You got to have great copy, and you can do it. But what I'm saying is that I'm a big advocate for working all the time. So when I'm not busy, I will accept